I recently made a video about Sengoku Basara, the Dynasty Warriors-like hack-and-slash game by Capcom released for the best Sony console ever, the PlayStation 2. I highly enjoyed it and recommend it. Naturally, I had to check out other entries in the series. It's a big franchise with lots of games, including a fighting game developed by anime fighter professionals at Arc System Works, and even though I haven't played all of them, I put a good amount of time into the sequel, Sengoku Basara 2. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Ready? Let's do this. Sengoku Basara 2 continues the over-the-top and awesome tale based in the historical period of Warring States Japan known as Sengoku Jidai. The gameplay is similar to the first game. You have a normal string of 8 attacks with the square button and a unique skill with the triangle button, of which you can unlock more as you level up. The difference here is that some of these unique skills can be leveled up. Depending on the skill, it may allow you to reach more enemies, get more hits by pressing the button repeatedly, etc. Another big change to the gameplay is the addition of the Basara gauge, which is a powered-up burst mode Super Saiyan Devil Trigger state which allows you to unleash your attacks more quickly and decimate enemy soldiers or bosses. You get one of up to 3 levels of the Basara drive every 100 enemies you defeat. Additionally, you can get a level of the Basara drive when you get 500 hits and enter something called Basara Fever. And speaking of hit count, boy, you can totally go crazy with the amount of hits sometimes. Aside from the modes featured in the previous game, like the proper story mode for each character including intro and ending CG cutscenes, and sadly there are no animated cutscenes in Senba 2, the game also features a unification mode, and a martial arts tournament, where you can take your character to battle different bosses and fight up to 100 different levels. The story mode is now comprised of 5 chapters per character with a little intro text explaining the context before each stage. The format of the story mode in the first game was now turned into the unification mode, in which you can choose which faction to go to battle with in your quest to, well, exactly that, unify Japan. In terms of story, one of the big bads this time around is Hideyoshi Toyotomi, who wants to take control of Japan through the use of force because, according to him, power is absolute and is the only thing that matters. The other big bad is our boy Nobunaga Oda, who is also on his quest to take control of the land of the rising sun. All playable characters from the first game return, plus a few ones that were simply bosses, but now make their playable debut, such as Moto Narimori and Motochika Chosokabe. And guys, now let me talk about my favorite character in the entire franchise. Oh boy, you know it, Kasuga. Finally, she got the love she deserves, aside from mine, of course. In the first game, if Sasuke Sarutobi is Ryu, Kasuga would be Ken. They share the same moveset including unique skills, and as much as I like Sasuke in the game, I'd like them to be different enough. In the lore, they've known each other for a good while, probably share the same background, but I'd prefer if they were distinct, especially when it comes to gameplay. And that's precisely what I got in the second game. Funnily enough, I played as Kasuga in the PlayStation 2 when I was a kid, and I have memories of her using attacks such as these with the kunai, so is Sengoku Basara 2 the game I wanted to revisit all along according to this memory? Or maybe that's her moveset in Devil Kings, which I tried as a kid on my PlayStation 2 but I only have a vague memory of that. Another cool addition is the Basara shop, where you can use money earned throughout the game to buy new weapons and items. If you stick to the normal difficulty, you'll barely need the buffs provided by these items, but that's something to consider in the higher difficulties. Let me talk some more about gameplay now. When you beat the unification mode, you will get a piece of armor that not only affects gameplay by giving you a bonus or perk, but also is an actual prop you can see in the character model. Aside from that, there are a few title fans you earn as collectibles by completing certain requirements. Another great reward for completing the unification mode is a second costume you can earn for your character, and god damn! Yeah, it was totally worth it taking down thousands of soldiers and take over the country for this costume. In true Capcom fashion, the game received an expansion called Sengoku Basara 2 Heroes, which features a revamped look to the menus, returning to and leaning even more heavily on the anime aesthetic. Gameplay remains the same. The addition to the base game, aside from visuals or new characters, some of them have been there since the first game, but they were only NPCs. Some of them were more on the comic relief side of things, or joke characters like those we see in fighting games, but also some cool additions such as Nagamasa Azai, who is pretty much a tokusatsu character like Power Rangers or Ultraman. Oichi Oda, Nobunaga's sisters, who has supernatural attacks, is a nice looking character design, but also a bit annoying sometimes with her low-talking, submissive and apologetic demeanor. Ieyasu Tokugawa makes his playable debut to accompany his trusted Tadakatsu, the best wingman of all times, Kojiro Katakura, Masamune Data's retainer, who is heavily featured in the anime, and last, but not at all least, the best new addition in my opinion, Zuma Kotaro, the third shinobi in the game, and along with Kasuga became one of my favorites. He has a real fun gameplay aside from a cool looking design. Sengoku Basara continued on the PlayStation 3 with Sengoku Basara 3 and 4, which I haven't checked out in depth yet, but I might do it in the future. In the previous video I mentioned the Sengoku Basara anime, so now let me go even further with that recommendation. There is Sengoku Basara Samurai Kings 2, an OVA and a movie, all animated by Production IG. Then, there's Sengoku Basara End of Judgment from another studio called Telecom Animation Film that is pretty much based on Sengoku Basara 3. As much as I'm a fan of Production IG, mainly because of Ghost in the Shell, I like End of Judgment better, because it feels the pacing leans more towards action. In its 12-episode run, it doesn't spend too much time on the walk and talk. Characters are constantly fighting one-on-one as this was based on a fighting game. The animation style and character designs look really good in my view, and this is not a spoiler, the plot leads up to the Battle of Sekigahara, which marks the end of the Sengoku period and subsequent unification of Japan under a single shogun. The Battle of Sekigahara is to the Sengoku period Japan, while the invasion of Normandy is to the World War II. And I think that is an awesome piece of history in this fictional work for the history enthusiasts out there. So that's about it guys, hope you've enjoyed this little exploration about another nice series that many gamers in the West might not have known, and I hope you can give it a try if that interests you, and if you can of course. See you in the next video, bye!